What's that? Howls from the woods, movement under the water, something you notice off the corner of your eye, but you look, it's gone. This is Cryptid Talk. Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing today on this fine Friday? At the end of the week, you made it through. And I think a good way to celebrate your week is listening to a good old fun episode of Cryptid Talk. Because what's nothing better than starting off your weekend with an amazing podcast, kind of thing. But yeah, I hope everyone is doing well today. Actually, just thinking about this now before okay. And so yes, okay, we're still there. All right. So yeah, how's everyone doing today? Is everyone having a good week and everything? I hope you all are. I hope everyone is doing well and everything like that. Hoping wherever you are, if you're dealing with snow, you are safe, being careful, and not taking any unnecessary risks when it comes to snowy weather and stuff like that. Because you never want to underestimate nature, especially in snowy areas if you're not even fully prepared for it, or just not fully prepared. So be safe, in these cold wintry months, and so hopefully you're all everyone will be safe and everything like that. Hopefully everyone's also, hopefully you got some fun things planned for the weekend. Whatever you consider as fun that you want to do or get done, or anything else like that kind of thing. I will say before we do start, just before starting the recording for this, I actually went to check to see if I was on if the podcast was on the website for the festival that I'll be going back to again this year, and it finally is up. They finally updated a bunch of the vendors and stuff like that, and even though I was prepared for it like a week like to me, like I feel like a week or two afterwards when we were able to finally apply for it. But yeah, so it is official. The podcast is officially on their website, so I'll put a link. I'll put a link to that in the in the notes in the information below. So if you weren't there last year, if you're listening, if people who are listening are people who I met there from last year, you'll be seeing me again. This coming up this year. So be ready for that. But yeah, so I'll check that out. So you can go check out the page and everything else like that. There are some pictures of me wearing my costume on the official page for the event from last year. So go and check that out. It was definitely a lot of fun and everything like that. Even with the little bit of rain we had to deal with, like kind of near the end, everything up until that point had a hell of a time. Got some fun stuff planned, new stuff planned for this year. So I'm planning on having more stuff to sell and stuff like that. So if you're curious, and if I'm tantalizing your curiosity that you have there, be sure you can come by in August and everything else like that. So I don't think there's anything else I need to update or anything else like that. So why don't we get started on today's episode? We got two different cryptids going on today. I wasn't necessarily sure if there would be enough information for at least one of them, maybe one or the other, but so we'll see how long it goes and everything else like that. But we will yeah. Both of them are pretty well-known cryptids. One maybe a bit more well-known here in the U.S. because it is a U.S. cryptid, while the other one is not U.S. So don't worry, people who might be scared of one of the cryptids, you don't have to worry. It's not here. The other one in the U.S. you might be a little bit scared of, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that when we get there. So today we'll be talking about the two cryptids, the Mongolian deathworm and Goatman. Kind of surprised I haven't done Goatman yet, because that's also definitely I'll definitely say if you want to consider like Bigfoot and Nessie being S tier and stuff like that, I guess I'd probably say Goatman maybe being like A or B or stuff like that. At least that's what. Sorry, I dropped my phone. That's probably what I would at least say for. I would say for least. But yeah, so we'll start off with the. Oh, I forgot to set this back. Come on. MMM. Nope, come on. This website. Okay. All right, so the Mongolian deathworm. Definitely a very interesting cryptid. Oh, I lost my page. Goodness gracious. There we go. All right, so the Mongolian deathworm. What is it? Well, as you can kind of probably guess from the name, it is from the deserts of Mongolia, more specifically the Gobi Desert. The creature is been seen to be 2 to 7 feet long, with a red blood-like color. So pretty much just imagine an earthworm, but 2 to 7 feet long, and it's just red as it's just very very red like blood. But it's more of what it can the I guess the tricks or abilities or what it's able to do that really makes it stand out kind of in a very interesting light, but then again also adds a lot of skepticism to it about the creature. So one of the things that it can do is that it can spit out a corrosive yellow saliva. And again, for just simple terms real quick, if you don't know, something that's corrosive means pretty much it like breaks down whatever it touches. So it could pretty much like melt like your skin or your clothes or or a bunch of different other things. So it kind of just wears it down and like dissolves it, kind of like the blood, kind of like acid or like the blood from the aliens in Alien in a way, but not exactly as crazy as that, but something so you get at least an idea of what, like, if you want like a visual representation of what corrosive means. And then apparently it also has the ability to generate blasts of electricity. Now, what does it mean by blast? Is it kind of like like a little area of effect around it, like a pulse of like a little pulse thing that's like pew shoots out electricity around you kind of thing? Or is it kind of like I shoot a little lightning bolt from it, goes pew pew, kind of thing? It kind of sounds like it kind of just like it's kind of like how the only other known animal that does generate electricity. Hold on, let me just make sure. What animals can make electricity? I believe there should only be one. No. Can produce electricity. There we go. Okay. But so in reality, apparently there's an electric ray. Huh, neat. All right, well, I guess I'll go with there's electric catfish. What? Okay, I'll have to look into some of this stuff later because I'm not curious. But overall, there's only one. There's like the main known animal that people think of that is known to produce its own electricity in that sense, or use it as some sort of like weapon, is the electric eel. The electric eel, is if you fall in the water with, or if you like touch it, or it produces electricity. Yeah, it can produce a pretty fatal shock of electricity to people. Like unfortunately, there was a story of some ranchers that were going through like a little mud pool, and with their horses, and it really the water wasn't that high up to the horses, so they could easily trot through it no problem. Then all of a sudden the horses keel over into the water, and then the ranchers go in there, and because they're on the horses, and they die as well. And it is believed that they fell into a little pool that had possibly a bunch of smaller electric eels in there, because apparently that's what they like to do. Whenever there's a chance of for any sort of like mud pool or anything else like that, they can produce some electricity, or they like to have all their young in like a little spot. And of course, if you fall in that, one is dangerous enough, but you fall into a little pool of like of a bunch of them, even if they're little ones, you're dead. You're dead instantly. You've got no chance. So, but again, they can only really do that on water, if you're in the water with them, or if you physically touch them. That's why if you're able to touch them, you have to use like some sort of like rubber protective gloves, or something along those lines. But they can't like shoot it out there like in like like any sort of like little lightning bolt. But can they? It's hard. Like, can these things somehow do as well, or is it like a pulse? Like, so how exactly do they do it? That's not hard. The debate on how they do it, if they're truly able to do it, is still up in the air, kind of thing. So the main location for the creature is in the Gobi Desert, like I mentioned earlier. The Gobi Desert is surrounded by is surrounded by Mongolia, Himalayas, China, and a hard to pronounce country that I'm not even gonna try to say. I'm just gonna say you want to you want to look it up. It's to the west. It's to the west of the Gobi Desert. You can try to pronounce it yourself. I probably, if I really tried, I probably could, but I'm just like, I'm not even gonna try. so yeah, so it's got some very unique and interesting abilities, I would to say for sure. Stories of the creature have gone back for many years. Apparently, one of the first one of the first appearance, first sightings, I guess, recorded sightings of the creature go back the 11th century. So it's a pretty long while. But even then, even till today, there are still sightings of this creature, especially for the locals. Now, there have been numerous expeditions of people trying to get any sort of evidence of the creature, anything at all. But like, or at least even like seeing it. But as far as I'm aware, not many Westerners have seen the creature. Locals have had plenty of stories of it, but since it's it's something that lives in like the sand, because in the Gobi Desert has like it's a very hot and it's a very well known desert, and of course there's going to be plenty of sand. So stories is that it lives in some of the most remote areas, but then also lives under on deep under the sand, and so it's kind of, you can't really search sand really well because some. Actually, I'm just curious. How deep is the Gobi Desert with sand? And that might be the pronounced way of it. The Gobi Desert is not very deep with sands. There's only around 5% of the area covered dunes. Well, even then, unless something is close to the surface, anything moving underneath the sand, it's gonna be kind of hard to really know that there's anything there. So you could be walking and there could be something traveling like feet underneath of you and you would have no idea. So I wouldn't be surprised if many people were traveling along and they were maybe walking over it and just having just no idea. Now, why it decides to choose, to attack certain people and livestock, hard to say, because unfortunately, there are stories of it killing animals and people. More so, not like they've been seen like eating the people, but more so like they find like they see like it do something and the person goes down, or they find the person like after the fact they don't see the creature kind of thing. And then of course same thing with like livestock too. They find livestock just dead on the ground with like no physical marks on them, or they find them there and there's like there looks like something has been eating it, kind of very interesting saying. Unfortunately, people have stories have said of people have apparently fallen to this thing, and that's kind of crazy in a way too, that something like that, because the things that's able to do sounds so unrealistic and improbable. I mean, like that it can't physically be real, and yet though we do have animals on this planet that are kind of able to do that. Sure, we've talked about the electric eel, but there are a few animals, a few creatures of this world that do have some sort of like spitting acid, or at least spitting something poisonous out of their mouths, or at least in some form or fashion. We'll get to one of them in a second, but we're almost there, so just be waiting a little bit longer. Let's see, because a lot of people have really tried a lot of, and let's see, because no one really knows exactly what it is. The only real information or evidence of the creature is really just the local stories that are told by the stories told by the locals. And obviously, with people like that living there, they're obviously they're more likely to see than someone from America that comes over and like spends like a week, and it's like this is not there, and yet maybe this thing rarely ever pops up. Some stories say that it only pops up whenever it rains, and that's kind of like an interesting information, because obviously in I'd probably assume anywhere that probably has worms of any sort, so like earthworms. Anytime it ever rains, you see them coming up from the ground and everything like that. And I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe that's because they don't want to drown, and so they come up from the ground, so they can not drown in could not drown in the water and everything like that in the ground. So that's definitely at least an interesting fact that at least collides with it maybe being a worm, because the art, again, without there really being any real evidence, it's kind of hard to tell what it could even possibly be. There's so many different theories and of what it could be and everything like that. Some of them seem a bit more likely, and some of them are like, but I don't think so. At least by going by how hard the locals describe it as such and don't describe it as something else. Some people say that it could be some sort of skink, which is a small little lizard, but but the eyewitnesses, the local people who have seen it, have said that it does not have any legs or any appendages, and it's also very smooth. It doesn't look scaly like a lizard would. So that's an interesting fact amongst itself as well. And again, there's also the red color too. I mean, let's actually take a look at this real quick. Skink, skink. Come on, if I can spell colors. So what colors are skinks normally? So again, this also could. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. A lot of skinks are are like black with yellow or white stripes. Some of them have faded stripes or a gray blue tail, and some of them like a brown or an olive like color. But none of them are really saying that a lot of them are brown, or rising coloration with head, but yeah, just by looking at them, there are some that do have like an orangey red like stripe going in the back of them, and maybe their legs might be, but they don't seem to be a solid red, or at least like a bright orange or anything else like that. It's not. It's the people say this thing is a solid blood red, and that's it. And that's it. There's really nothing else to it. And sometimes some people say it has like doesn't really show like it has like a mouth like a worm does, or sometimes it has like some weird little grotesque mouth that they use to grab prey and stuff like that. But it is a hard cryptid to be taken seriously by many people who go by more of the evidence side of it. Sure, yes, the evidence of it definitely is, and I mean, I would probably be in the same way too. Like, yeah, sure, like there are stories of so many different cryptids and this and that I've heard about, but ultimately in the end, stories are just stories. And it would be nice to have some sort of evidence. And yet, though, when we have like certain parts of the world, like here, and then we have the people in the Congo, with Mongolian Bembe and other more remote areas, tell these stories of these creatures. They may not have any real evidence, but you can't. What's the word for? You can't ignore the amount of stories there are for them. Sure, if there was maybe a handful or some here and there, sure. But there have been stories of this creature going back to the 11th century, even until modern day. So there has to be something. All these people can't be misidentifying the same. Can't all be wrong. Could there be some? Sure. Every story is going to have something, whether they're wrong on purpose, like they're lying, or by accident, and it just happens to be like that. So definitely interesting nonetheless, for sure. And I don't know. Let's see. Others say it also could be a new species of worm lizards. Now, if you're not fully aware what that means, there are some species of lizards that actually don't have legs. Now, that doesn't make them snakes. Like, they are lizards, but they just don't have any legs or appendages. It's just like they have a snake-like ish body, but they are a lizard, but they're not a snake. Very interesting. And why evolution would make them like that, I don't know. That's a mind-boggling one to me. But there are some species of lizards that don't have legs. So some people think that maybe this might be a new, undiscovered species of worm lizard that we just don't know. We just don't have any identification or know what it is yet. Actually, well, let's. How many worm lizards are there? Okay, there are over 200 species of worm lizards. Not more than I thought. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce. Hold on. Amphisbaenians. Amphisbaenians. I'm not very good at that kind of stuff, but so that's the more scientific name for it. Yeah, they're a group of burrowing lizards that are found in tropical and temperate areas around the world. Temperate. What is considered a temperate climate? What is a temperate climate? Nope. Temperate climate. Let's see. Temperate climate. So look at this little map here of what considers a temperate climate. A temperate climate is not far from what they're considering as one, but it's not very far from the Gobi Desert, because there is one that is showing in a good chunk of China, and it's pretty close, but I don't think it's there yet to be up far enough for the Gobi Desert, but it's closer. It's just kissing the Gobi Desert, like mwah, just kissing the Gobi Desert a little bit from there, but it's close. But regardless, though, so there is a slight possibility that there could be maybe a worm lizard from that part of China that may be adapted to the Gobi Desert and maybe lives there, but hard to say. Maybe some sort of evolutionary trait maybe made it more slow, or it made its color red or something like that. It's a lot of speculation can be made for it, obviously, without any real hard evidence. Again, this is just speculation, just theory, stuff like that, or hypothesis. I think hypothesis, I believe, is the correct term for that. Let's see. So, all right. So now we're going to go to something about a little bit of if that they can apparently shoot out or spit out this corrosive, poisonous, yellow, deadly saliva. There is one known animal that is at least big enough to be able to do so, and that is a spitting cobra. Now, spitting cobras, I should have right here. Here we go. Excuse me. So the habitat of the spitting cobra is not anywhere near where there are reports supposedly of the Mongolian deathworm. Mainly, they normally do savanna and semi-desert regions of Africa. So there are apparently some stories of there maybe being some seen around northern Africa, but not more so. Mainly, normally around in the Gobi Desert of Mongolia. But again, so it can't be a snake because the people say that that it doesn't look like a snake, because there probably are snakes that do live in the Gobi Desert, and I think they should probably be able to tell the difference between what does a snake look like and what does a giant supposed worm look like that doesn't have I mean, any discernible features. While a snake, you can clearly tell, oh, that's a snake. But again, these things don't, aren't red like the Mongolian deathworm is and everything else like that. But spitting cobras are dangerous. So they're normally a bit smaller, but they've got really good accuracy. Spinning cobra range. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's not what I meant. Spinning cobra spit range. They can go up to 10 feet with with their aim, and that's pretty good. And apparently, they are really good at aiming for your eyes. Like the amount of accuracy that these things have to that they get pretty good at nailing people in the eyes shows that they're just how dangerous they really are. Because obviously, they use it to even disorient their prey or to escape from a predator. They squirt you in the eye, and you're more or less probably you might go blind possibly if from that thing, but if you do react quick enough with water, washing it off with water, sure, there is a chance. But the fact that these things can shoot up to 10 feet with those things, that's pretty accurate for a snake. I'm not gonna lie. All right, but back on track though. So that is the only really known animal that, sure, it has the look and size of a it has the length of of a possible like at least like a long like cylindrical worm like snake like body, but they say it is not a snake. And could there be a slight chance that maybe a new species of spinning cobra is there? Maybe, but again, they are sure that it is not a snake because some people have gone and looks at it, and it's just not a snake, and they probably know what snakes look like. So it'll be very, very unlikely for them to get it wrong. Is there a chance though? Possibly. It is very possible, unless you're able to get like an up close look at it of like, okay, I am now 1 feet from this creature, and I'm getting a good look at it, kind of thing. But most people, especially for a lot of these things, they kind of see them at a distance, or but at least kind of hard to really get a really, really good look at them, because if this thing can do what it does, you don't really want to get close to it because it kind of sounds pretty dangerous in my opinion too. Let's see some other known suggestions for the creature. Where is it? Here it is. That it might be a Tartar sand boa, which apparently is known to live in the area. So again, there's another explanation. They know what they know. They're of a snake species that could be misidentified of it, but again, the color of it is not red at all. It pretty much looks like sand, like a brownish, light yellow, tannish color, kind of match. Obviously matching its surroundings, so it can be able to hunt prey more easily. But yeah, so it can't be that. Another interesting theory that I was kind of actually thinking about while I was actually preparing and writing the notes for this was that a lot of farmers, certain in areas, do use electric fences to protect, their cattle and everything, from predators and stuff like that. And most of the time, they are not harmful to anyone at all, because most cases it's more of a deterrent. So if people go up to it and something actually touches it, they get like a quick little shock and then they run away from it. And a lot of times they're kind of designed, and I was kind of looking up like, is it possible for an electric fence to kill a person or a cow if they just grip it and don't let go? Well, apparently a lot of times it's kind of designed to be like a quick little zap, a little zap in a way. Nothing, it shouldn't really like keep going in a way. Sure, they do say like anything, there is a slight possibility that if it is built incorrectly or there's some sort of malfunction somewhere along the lines, hard to really say with something that's like an electric fence. Sure, like anything, if it malfunctions, it could possibly it could kill you, or like a cow, or could kill something that touches it for too long, or just a single zap kind of thing. But it's hard to say. I mean, it's not likely, because I think they're also seem to be designed in mind for the to only activate for a quick moment kind of thing. But for most deterrents, if you just grab onto it, it's again to make you go away from it, not hold on to it, not death grip it. So could some of these cattle possibly have touched the fence in the wrong way, or there was a malfunction that killed them? Hard to say. I mean, some of these places, not everyone uses electric fence. Sometimes it's just a normal fence or a barbed wire fence, or something along those lines. 'Cause a lot of times apparently these creatures are seen along the fences of cattle fences, kind of just like looking at them, like just slithering by, maybe thinking like, possible meal here, maybe, let's see. But it's hard to say. I mean, so could some of these be that? It's hard. Like, who knows? Could there possibly just be a new species of animal that lives in the Gobi Desert and we just don't know of yet? Possible. Can it do all these things it can do? Hard to say. We won't know on if this creature does truly exist. We won't know for sure unless we are able to get our hands on one safely, and then being able to being able to study it in somewhere where where people can actually get a good look at what it can do. It's definitely something I would definitely not want to look at because the spitting corrosive acid. Sure, I could probably get past that, but the whole idea with it, the whole electricity thing, and it can expect shoot it out from its body and into the air. Nah, I'm good. I don't think I really want to mess around with something like that. Was there anything else? I feel like there was something else. Funny enough that the Mongolian deathworm has, again, like a lot of different cryptids, has appeared in other different sources of in many sources of media. It was a card for the MetaZoo card series. There was a movie on Sci-Fi Channel called The Mongolian Deathworm with these giant worms that could swallow and eat people and stuff like that. It's been seen in many in other video games. It's surprising. It's really I really do like it how there are so many cryptids that come into video games or has inspired them. Like, another example of the movie Tremors. The movie Tremors was believed to have been inspired by the Mongolian deathworm. Now, it doesn't do all the crazy stuff that it does. They're just big hulking worm monsters that just swallow people up and then everything like that, and have all the movies afterwards and everything like that. But I will say, for as crazy as some of these Tremor movies do get, they are still better than almost every other giant snake, shark, crocodile other movie, and they're definitely better than all the dang Sharknado movies. Are so stupid. These movies are so stupid. The first time I saw the commercial for it, my jaw just dropped to the ground, and I'm like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me!" And I think there's like 6 or 7 of those movies. I'm like, "Oh, come on!" So definitely a fun movie for sure. If you've never seen the movies Tremors, go give them a look. They're very fun. The very first one has some of the other early days of Kevin Bacon and everything else like that. And the one character Bert, he I think he appears in every single one. So that's always a fun one. But if you want a very interesting, not that stupid in my opinion compared to a lot of other ones, like, my gosh, go see the Tremor movies. I believe there is like a box set that has all the movies and stuff like that. So give them a fun little watch. But yeah, I always do like it when they're hearing all these cryptids, that is sources of media and stuff like that. Like, it's like, okay, this is cool material and stuff like that. And so maybe not necessarily fully taken seriously, but at least acknowledged to a point of oh, this thing, oh, let's put in a video game or a book or something or a movie. I'm like, cool. At least they're getting some sort of recognition in some way. So ultimately, what do I think the Mongolian deathworm is? Hard to say. If we're going by the testimonies and of the stories of the people who live there and see and are around it much more often and see it much more than we do, and they say it's not a snake or it's not a reptile or anything else like that. Maybe it is just some new species of worm. And sure, in the hindsight of it, a worm like an earthworm, for example, can't live in a desert like that. But I mean, who knows? Maybe it's just evolution is a crazy thing with things that it shouldn't be possible, and yet they are. That even modern day animals are able to do in certain environments and stuff like that. So hard to say. Maybe underneath the Gobi Desert are great sources of water for them to keep hydrated, and the times they are able to come up to the surface for a bit, maybe they're able to do what they want to do and then go back down to rehydrate themselves. Who knows? We really don't know. Your guess is as good as mine of what it is and how it's able to do what it does. I can definitely say for sure it must be. I believe it is a real animal. What exactly it is it some sort of worm or something else? I guess if I were to lean one way or the other, I probably would lean more towards it's probably some new species of of like some sort of worm or something like that. Just by if we're going off the testimonies of the locals who swear of what it is and what it isn't. So, what do you all think? What do you think the Mongolian death worm is? Let me know in the comments below. All right, the next cryptid, a pretty well known cryptid too. Also another, and also in a way, a lot more of a very dangerous cryptid. Oh, do I already have it here? Oh no, that's what I wanted for. Do. Sorry, let's get the next part ready. Okay. So the next one we'll be talking about is the Goatman. I know. Another man-like cryptid. Again, we are very clever when it comes to our names. So going by the name of it, the description of the creature is pretty much a Goatman-like creature, kind of like a satyr in a way. And if you want, it's like a simple an idea to think about it, but pretty much the body of a man and the head of a goat. So a lot of times it is seen with horns. Some people say that it is, it, yeah, but then it also has like the legs. Some stories say it has like the legs of a goat, and so like hooves and everything. So hard, it's interesting enough with that. It is 6 to 8 feet tall, so it's a pretty big creature. Definitely in like in the realm of how big and it can be compared to like a Bigfoot and everything else like that. Now, originally, I knew of Goatman at least within 2 areas. In Pope Lick, Louisiana, Pope Lick Lake in Louisiana and Kentucky. Louisiana, my goodness, Louisiana. All right, let's try it again. In Louisville, Kentucky. I saw the Lou, and I went Louisiana, but no, it's Louisville, Kentucky, and Maryland. Especially Maryland, I knew as being like one of the very well-known areas of like Goatman's in Maryland, kind of thing. But then hearing stories and stuff like that, I found out that Goatman is also seen in Pennsylvania, especially around my area, like eastern Pennsylvania and central and stuff like that. And apparently also seen in Texas. So Texas, Pennsylvania, and Maryland seem to be the main areas that people have apparently seen it. There might be some stories of them seeing in other places, but these normally tend to be the most common areas where people have seen Goatman. And it is unfortunately is also a very dangerous creature. There are like a lot of stories of people saying that it opens its mouth and showing like these sharp teeth, and apparently there are stories of it, unfortunately, killing people and dogs and stuff like that. So this thing is not, is not friendly. It's a very aggressive cryptid. I always consider this being like, if we were comparing like what I can think is the most aggressive cryptid out there in a way, going by like stories and stuff like that. Honestly, I would probably go Goatman, more so than Dogman. Like Dogman being a close second, but Goatman for sure, because there's been a lot of stories of it showing aggressive behavior towards people. Now there are some stories that of it not being aggressive, more so it's just being curious. People see this human head goat thing, and next and then it just runs away. Then there's a lot, but then unfortunately there are stories being chased, and some stories of people saying they found like they can't if people have gone missing in certain areas and all they found is blood, or they found nothing, or another possible cryptid that might be some of the reasons for some disappearances of some people in parts of the US and everything else like that. Okay, what else? So I also, because I remember of also hearing about Goatman that I later on I found out the Pope Lick monster. Let's see. Of that is near Louisville, Kentucky. Oh, hello, cat. Cat has come by to say hi. He's rubbing his head on my hand. So I'm just gonna read this little thingy real quick that gives a little bit more information about the Pope Lick monster. In most accounts, the Pope Lick monster, named after after this, named after the Pope Lick Creek below the Pope Lick Trail train trestle, appears as a human goat hybrid with a grotesquely deformed body of a man. It has a powerful fur-covered goat legs, an alabaster skinned face, and with wide set eyes and short but sharp horns that do protrude from its body. Hold on, cat is trying to get into my lap. Come here. There you go. No. Don't mess with the notebook. There you go. You can chill. You can chill in my lap right now. As I record. Yeah, this little one wants some cuddles while Dad is recording. Numerous urban legends. Okay, and has like the goats of a horn, like the horns of a goat and stuff like that. Numerous urban legends exist about the creature's origins and the methods it employs. It claims to claim its victims. There are apparently some accounts of it using some sort of hypnosis or voice mimicry to lure people towards it. Now, the whole mimicry thing is definitely not the first time that we have heard about this. Like a prime example being skinwalkers or wendigos and stuff like that. And going by stories that I've heard and stuff like that, skinwalkers, like wendigos, more so skinwalkers, are a lot more wide range than people think. They're not as secluded in Navajo reservation areas. Don't bite me, as people might think and stuff like that. But I have heard stories of people saying they've heard some sort of mimicry and sometimes coming from a creature like that. So they're definitely crafty things for sure. But then when the fact that they can do that, my cat, makes them very dangerous, especially for people who may not be fully aware or know how to handle something like that, or to ignore it and stuff like that. Some people say that it's just some sort of hybrid from a freak circus or an experiment gone wrong. And let's see. Exists around with myth and stuff like that. Apparently, also around the area where some of these sightings happen, especially with the whole hypnosis thing, where here, let's do this. We're going to read this part real quick. The Pope monster, having no actual reported sightings, most likely exists only in the realm of myth and legend. The infamous Pope train trestle has become a favorite spot for kids, especially ones conducting the lighthearted bravery test, daring someone to climb the trestle. This has not always been fun and games, however. In the summer of 1987, a young boy fell to his death from the trestle after evading an oncoming train, and his fate was met again by a young 13-year-old boy years later. Also, and then on April 23rd, 2016, a 26-year-old tourist from Ohio died being hit by the train while searching for the monster. Her boyfriend survived by hanging on the side of the trestle. So, just the area itself, at least for the Pope Lick monster area, especially with this whole train, the train trestle, definitely seems to be even just as dangerous as at least the creature seems to be around there. But now going back to the actual, the other areas of the creature itself, they're also known of the Waterford Sheepman. So another word for Goatman in different area, which is not uncommon for there to be different names for cryptids in different areas because that's what they call it. This happened in a small rural town of Waterford, Pennsylvania. Actually, surprised I didn't do this earlier. Let's check out real quick where Waterford is to here. Waterford, PA. Oh no, that's Waterford, PA. There we go. Direcciones. Oh no. Waterford is all the way up near Lake Erie. So about six and a half hours from me. So so all the way up there. But again, all right. So in the early 1970s, it lurked in farm fields, stalking the unwitting animals in desire to tear them apart and feed on their flesh and blood. Hundreds of people witnessed this creature, also referred as the Goatman. Mary Lynn knew of the Goatman legend as a teenager in the 70s, Along with stories, she had also seen it with her own eyes more than one occasion. And this is a quote from her. I lived in Baghdad. I lived on the Baghdad Road. Okay, Baghdad Road, and I saw this figure running across the dirt road at one point near the old sawmill. She remembers that the time when there was so much talk about the legend, with many people catching a glimpse of the creature darting across the road into the bush or along farm fields. She had a second encounter with the creature when she was 17. He was there that one night. I drove home, and right before I turned into my driveway, there he was running across the road into the woods. Now, unfortunately, at least just going by from what I'm hearing here, it doesn't really give much description of it, but I'm guessing if she saw it in her headlights, she at least saw it, maybe would got at least enough look at it to tell that it was like some sort of like Goatman and not being misidentified as, maybe like a Bigfoot, stuff like that, because there are Bigfoot, in Pennsylvania and stuff like that. So, who knows? It could be possible that maybe misidentified, as a Bigfoot, but who knows? And then of course, the Maryland Goatman, which I knew a bit more about, at least aware that the Goatman was there. But now they have it as a little bit differently. According to legend, the Maryland Goatman is an axe-wielding, half-man, half-animal creature that was once a scientist who worked in the Beltsville Agricultural Research Center. The tale holds that he was experimenting on goats, and the experiment went awry. He began attacking cars with an axe, roaming the backwoods of Beltsville, Maryland. And the occasional legend of attacking people and living in the woods. All right, hold on. No. Sorry, cats attacking cables. And then, of course, they then talks about the Poplick monster and everything else like that. But and so a very again, there's I must close that. Whoops. But unfortunately, there's really no evidence of the Goatman show. There's been some stories that people said they found hoof marks and stuff like that, but maybe that could be misidentified as a really big deer. All right, let's actually Goatman evidence, if I can spell evidence correctly. There's this one picture, but I'm pretty sure that's fake. Goatman tracks. There's any known recorded tracks of the Goatman. Some weird hoof print, but again, that could be, that could be like a deer or something like that. So, unfortunately, there's really no real evidence of the Goatman. One sec. Sorry, Cat is not being good right now, and I'm trying to get him to go away so that he will stop attacking the cables and everything else like that. So so I know, meow. Yeah, definitely. It's hard to say what Goatman is. There are people who've swore that have gotten a good look at the thing and can see that it had the head of a goat and the horns. So it's not like they could have misidentified it for, as like a Bigfoot. Could there be some circumstances if maybe they didn't see the head, but they know of the legend of Goatman in the area, and next thing they know, they see biggest thing running across the street, and they're like, oh, Goatman kind of thing. The color of it also seems to give it more of like a grayish white kind of color. Maybe a brown, but nothing that's ever seen as really like a dark color, at least a lot of descriptions of the creature itself. But so that could definitely be possible maybe for some, but for those people who have swore they've gotten a good look at it and saw that it clearly did have horns, that that might be a bit harder to be like, no, you just misidentified as maybe a Bigfoot and stuff like that. Could be some circumstances, sure, but the people who said they've gotten a good look at it, have to at least be a bit more like, all right, maybe it's something a bit more to look into it for this and stuff like that. But so ultimately, what do I think of Goatman? Well, it's definitely an interesting cryptid. It's also a very from stories I've heard, is a very dangerous and aggressive cryptid. Definitely not one that I want to run into. I'd rather run into honestly, in some circumstances, even though it's like just as dangerous, I'd rather run into a dogman in some way. But Dogman is definitely not one. I definitely don't want to run into him. But if I were to compare the both, like be like which one I'd rather run into more, I'd rather run into Dogman because there just seems to be a bit more stories of of the Goatman just being a bit more aggressive. But again, there are plenty of stories of it being aggressive. Of Dogman being aggressive with people. So hard. Who knows for sure. But oh, also one other thing, I think I'll make sure I forgot that the Kiss Skinwalkers um is that some people also speculate that Goatman also may be like a demon or like a devil or something like that, because a lot of descriptions of like the devil or demons and stuff like that, or like this like demented like goat like creature, and this thing apparently has that that capability as well. Some people saying that they've seen it coming out of like portals or stuff like that. So who knows for sure? And again, if these people are even lying or or something else, like who knows? Maybe there very well could be possible of something. Like until it is proven otherwise, even as ridiculous as it sounds, it could be anyone's guesses about what this thing is, and like any cryptid, is up in the air until we know for sure. Also, another thing about that, there probably might be a lot of other reports of Goatman and stuff like that, but the stories that we have of Goatman are from the people who survived it, because there are some stories, and people finding people in like corpses in the woods, missing people, so unfortunately, like it's kind of weird when we think about it, but a lot of the stories we have of Goatman are ones who survived to be able to tell the tale. Some stories of people have said that they've been chased by it, but were able to escape. So, kind of a interesting thing in a way of there being like, oh yeah, the only reason why we have stories of Goatman is because some people survived to tell the tale. But again, if without really knowing for sure what it is, who knows. Um, and I guess without really trying to drag it on that too much, I think that'll be it for this week. Two very interesting cryptids: the Mongolian deathworm and Goatman. Goatman, also known, most commonly, but also in the one area known as the Pope Lick monster. Definitely both very interesting cryptids. I would say that if they're more likely of one to be existing, to be proven, I probably would say it would probably be the Mongolian deathworm. It'll be very, very, very tough, but whether we find out exactly what it is or would it be misidentified as, I feel like that would probably be the most likely, even though that would be tricky. I definitely do believe that Goatman does exist, because there have been enough people who have seen something that has the head of a goat, the body of a man. So, you know, or who's to say until we know for sure. And I hope you enjoyed this one. Hopefully you learned some new things and stuff like that. I guess a quick little update about the book that I'm gonna be writing. I've again At the moment, I'm just talking to people who I know who have written books, and just getting an idea of what programs do they use and stuff like that. And some people have these other specific programs, so I'm gonna look into them to see how much they are, or if I'm able to use them with my computer, or do I need to bite the bullet and just go with Microsoft Word? I don't I would need to go buy it, but who knows? Anything's possible. Of how I'll do this. And maybe as I start doing it, I'll give updates on it when I can, but definitely not anything anytime soon. And then once I figure out how to at least get started with it, and then I'll talk to some of my friends that I know and ask them, be like, hey, like who like how does this work, or who do you trust for me to talk to get this done, and get a good deal out of it and stuff like that. So or maybe producing a book isn't that hard, and maybe it's not. Maybe I'm thinking it's just harder than it actually is, but we will see. Yeah, again, yeah. So if you haven't already, Follow the Facebook page, facebook.com/cryptidtalk. Of course, also follow subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. YouTube, follow you. Go to YouTube and go to Cryptid Talk. Just before the beginning of the episode, I was seeing how many subscribers we were at, and we're still at 47, but it's been slowly going up the past few weeks. So keep up the liking and sharing and all that you guys are probably doing, and all that. And I greatly appreciate it and everything else like that, and and all the likes, shares, comments, of course the subscribes all help me to get me more notice on other people's feeds and be like, hey, you like this, well, you might like this, and more chances of it happening, for me. So keep it up and everything else like that. Of course, and if you know anyone, or if you yourself have seen anything, heard anything, or a picture or a video or an audio clip or anything of any sort of interesting creepy creature that you have seen in the woods, the air, the water of our world that we live in, email me, cryptidtalk91@aol.com. Hopefully, someday we'll get a thing of where we can get people to start reading people's stories and talking about them from there. Anything else? I don't think so. I guess without rambling on too much, I hope everyone has a good day, good weekend, and just wherever if you are in an area where it's cold, stay safe, stay warm, and remember, keep your ears and eyes open for the creepiness in store, because you never know what you'll find outside of your door. This has been Cryptid Talk. This has been Michael Mann. Oh my goodness, this has been Cryptid Talk with Michael Mann. Have a good day, everyone. Stay safe. Love you all.